Yay.
I think I was working on power. That's what I was.
Yeah, we both were. We're making dueling generators.
Ooh. You are using Tiberium. I am using
Yeah.
nuclear.
You were starting nuclear, yeah, which is probably going to take you a fair bit longer. I think I'm almost done.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that this is going to be a very efficient way for us to generate power. I think Tiberium power plants are far superior, by the way.
They are cheatsy.
Yeah, they're very,
They're
very good.
so much easier.
200?
It's just pipe
Yeah.
loads of resources in. All right, done.
It's very good. It's very, very good. It's over good, I think. Can we get better steam engines? Yes, we can. All right.
Yep.
Okay, we got lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of research to get through, which is very exciting. Because we've got pretty much
we actually have
every type of tech card, I think. I believe.
I think so. I think we're still missing one of them. Whatever the one that we get from space is.
Space, yeah, the one that gives you fish, or whatever.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that's the one. That is the one. Man, it feels good to be back in Factorio, honestly.
Yeah, I feel bad that our schedules had not aligned up until this point.
Nothing to feel bad about. It's life, you know?
Yeah. To some degree, I just kind of given up on being properly organized this fall. I was just like, I'll get there at some point, and then it won't be so bad. But until then, it's just I've accepted that this will never. Ooh.
What up?
I just realized I was burning all of my excess Tiberium sludge like a fool. It's fine. Oh, wait, no. That's the one I want to burn. I was not a fool. I am a fool now. Okay, but yeah, I've just totally given up on, like, any sense of organization. I was talking to Rito about this, and, like, yeah, just doing multiplayer stuff has largely kept us sane, but thrown our schedules into the biggest of whack, and it's been difficult to fit everything in that we want to fit in. Like, to some degree, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of fine with it. It's like, if it doesn't work out this week, well, there's always next week.
It's one of those things, right? It's, I feel like life goes through phases of being semi-organized and then complete chaos. Then back to, like, semi-organized and then complete chaos. But I think I've just come to terms with the fact that life is never going to be organized because there's just too many, like, external factors that you can't control. You know. And so, this is what life's going to be like forever.
Yep.
So there we go.
Oh, I see what's going on there.
Huh. Okay, I'm doing some research for steam turbines because I don't know much about nuclear power, but I think steam turbines are used in the nuclear power process, so I'm gonna throw that in there.
Feel free to get really deep in that. I think I'm in a good spot to take over whatever we need industry-wise today.
I'm just trying to think about what there actually is to do, like in terms of we got rare earth mineral metals, didn't we? That was something that we did last time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's worth. There's a couple of applications that use that I can't remember. But I wonder if it's worth exploring what we can do with rare earth metals.
Yeah. I think it was a bit of a bottleneck because we specifically needed it for science, and just because we couldn't get past that.
Yeah.
That was the only limitation, but I could be very wrong on this one.
Yeah, I can't remember, to be honest. Also, turns out that steam turbines are such a basic technology that we no longer have an appropriate number of labs to do all the research, so I'm just going to zone a couple more, if that's alright. go. Excellent. And some stack inserters. What do you know? All right. So yeah, I don't know. We don't have a massive project to work on, but yeah.
That's kind of freeing in its own way.
Yeah. I don't know. Are you somebody who likes to look forward to things, or are you much more like, you know, chillaxed?
I think it depends.
Yeah.
I think the older I get, the more I just kind of let things come.
Yeah.
That I've had enough, honestly, even just minor disappointments over
Okay.
the course of, you know, the last, I'm going to say 25 years. Anything before that, hell if I even remember.
Yeah.
But, like, oh, what's it going to... Well, here's the easiest one. You played Spore, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That was my most anticipated game of all time.
Okay.
Came out on my birthday. I was so stoked. I took the day off school and everything.
Okay.
And yeah, it was Spore. I'm pretty sure you kind of know what I mean by that one, but like I think after kind of that point, I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to look forward to games anymore. If it comes out, awesome. If it comes out terrible, okay. And that has been a healthier mindset for me, at least.
I haven't thought about Spore in years. Honestly. I think I've only played it like once. I can't even remember if I've completed it.
No one... so the only reason why I was capable of completing Spore was through cheats. It is legitimately one of the most time-consuming games I have ever played to beat. And even then, you don't really beat it. You know how in No Man's Sky, you have just millions of planets out there, and just no human being will ever be able to visit any of them because it's just numerically impossible?
Yeah.
Spore did a lot of the things that No Man's Sky did well before No Man's Sky ever came out.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you hit the space stage of Spore, the game just opens up in a way that you were flying around on the ship visiting pre-generated planets made out of effectively the same parts that you've been experiencing throughout the entire game. Which, you know, seems good on paper, but in execution, like if you know anything about procedural generation, you realize that games just aren't deep enough for that, for the most part. Like, you can't make that actually have substantive amounts of quality. That it'll just end up feeling shallow and kind of just bad. And so you just fly from planet to planet doing kind of nothing, fighting this like evil group that's standing in your way, and the end point is go to the center of the universe.
Yeah, I remember that much. Yeah.
There's something waiting for you there, and so I did. And they give you a stick that lets you terraform like a world to be perfect, maybe like a couple of times, and then it runs out, and I don't know if you can get any more. But I got it, and
you were sold. Your soul was destroyed in the process.
Yeah, it was just like, wait a second. That's it? I did all that work to get a stick? And it was like, you can look up the cutscene, and maybe they changed it with like an update or a DLC. I know they added a little bit with Galactic Adventures, but I don't think they added an ending, like a proper, better ending than that. And so, like, me having just spent an insane amount of time and, you know, just heavily cheated a bunch to get to this point, I was just sitting there being like, this was legitimately not worth it. Why did I do any of this? I'm not going to say it exactly broke me, but it was definitely this like crisis of, well, that was not worth my time.
I had no idea that you had such a negative experience with Spore.
I thought it was going to be so cool. The cell stage looked amazing. The creature stage seemed really promising, and then after that, I didn't really care. And unfortunately, the first stage played like a Flash game. The second stage played like a really bad game, and then everything after that was just different flavors of bad RTS that just didn't seem worth it.
Yeah.
I I think you can also talk to some of the other Wholesomeverse members who have had similar experiences, namely Alexa. Alexa and I have virtually the same birthday, which is September 10th. He's September 11th.
And the same school? What is this? You guys are the same people.
I don't know how that happened. I honestly don't. It's a little wild, but
just humor me. Go check like your parents and your grandparents and make sure that they're not the same people, just to be on the safe side.
I'm pretty sure. I would absolutely know if we were actually related, namely because he lives in Ohio. Of my entire extended family, none of them have left Minnesota.
Are they close? Are they close by each other? The states?
No, they're all. So Minnesota is a fairly big state. It's honestly, a lot of people joke that it's practically Canada, and to some degree, I'd agree. But there's a bit of a problem. Oh wait, no, one of them moved to Alaska, which is even more Canada, sort of Canada, but with more guns.
Canada extra. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, most of them just never really escaped because not a whole lot of education opportunities if you're out in the middle of the out in the middle of the boonies, and so it's super weird going back because everybody knows everything that has happened to each other, and everybody thinks I'm still like 20 because they haven't seen me in forever, and it's actually kind of funny.
The curse of extended family. That's I feel you on that one. I canceled a bunch of your research, by the way, I think, because
that's fine. I don't remember what I was researching anyway.
I also don't think that we have Tiberium inputs into these basic labs.
Which yeah, I must have disconnected that a long time ago and just never reset it.
Let me see if I can figure it out. I'll see if I can find where your Tiberium.
I don't think I'm producing it anymore, so like, don't bother.
Oh,
I'll
you
fix
ditched
it.
them. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you keep working on your nuclear power.
Okay, all right. You got it, boss. I'm working on it. Okay. Be prepared for disappointment. Much like Spore,
that's
you're gonna be very disappointed in the output of nuclear power.
I've already finished my Tiberian thing, so I can handle a lot of the like working on actual base and important things.
Okay.
And you can play with big dangerous toys.
I like playing with big dangerous toys. I don't know. There's something about nuclear power. I've been playing around with it in Minecraft, and it's just.
I saw it.
Fun.
I want to get into that, but I think EMC has ruined me a little bit. I love the idea of it. I wish I needed things again in the game, but I've pretty much like got peak everything. So now it's just like I want to make a nuclear reactor because why?
So, here's the thing. You need a pretty substantial amount of resources to construct a nuclear reactor. Like, a lot more than I was originally anticipating. Like, it's taken me, I don't know, it took me maybe 12 hours. No, maybe more than that, actually. Maybe like 16 or 20 hours in order to assemble all of the requisite parts in order to make it work. Like, it is insanely complex. Like, much more so than I expected.
Okay.
It's a big commitment, actually. Like, yeah. And I was pretty wealthy going into it, to be honest, so.
Yeah. I think I would care more about it if the EMC was balanced the same way that it is in Stone Block. I don't know if you've checked that out ever, but I started playing Stone Block with my brother, and even the basic transmutation table requires like ridiculously high tier resources.
Yeah. So
you can't even get into EMC until the end game.
Hmm.
And I'm not gonna say this ever because like it doesn't actually matter too much, but I think we got spoiled maybe a little bit too much by getting access to EMC so early on.
So here's the thing about EMC. I think the way to balance it is you make every transaction lose 10 or 20% of its value. I think straight up by just doing that, you instantly counter everything. So, for example, like your method of acquiring EMC and my method of acquiring EMC emeralds, right? Is that if you're losing like 20% every time you reformulate or use the transmutation table, then you lose a lot of the value in the process, which means that you can still, you know, allocate your resources to it, but at the same time, it's less.
It's going to be costlier.
Exactly, exactly. I think that's the way to do it in my mind, anyway.
I think in my head, it almost would be better if it just had like a RF to EMC conversion ratio, but the costs for it were ridiculous. So like you can get very small amounts by just running a basic coal generator, which is kind of handy. Or you can make a giant nuclear reactor, and that gets you tons. Because at that point, you might as well just have everything because you've done all this work. And that's kind of where I'm at with Wholesome Craft. It's like, well, I've earned this. And so the feeling of like going back to make the giant power plants is like, yeah, but it doesn't really fit any of my needs because I have zero. Like, what are you even going to use the power for with the nuclear power generator?
So the thing is, okay, just I don't want to toot my own horn, but it's not just a nuclear reactor. It's a nuclear reactor, a steam turbine, a boiler, and a battery as well. So it's actually like 4 components, which is why it's taken me such a long time to do. So it's really quite. And then also all of the requirements to produce the nuclear fuel as well, because you need to produce, like, I don't know, tritium and deuterium or whatever in order to make it work. My original goal was to plonk down a whole bunch of digital miners and a whole bunch of like really power intensive things at maximum speed and just absolutely mine everything out. But the point of doing that was to acquire resources. But over the course of building the reactor, I've had to build up a whole bunch of EMC farms in order to get the resources required to build the reactor. So now I have all of the resources anyway, so now I'm kind of at a little bit of a loss, to be honest with you, about what I'll actually do. So I don't know is the answer to that question.
Fair enough. At this point, I've mostly just been dedicating my resources to lightly pranking people, or in Rito's case, heavily pranking him, but he doesn't know that yet, so...
It was marvelous. It was absolutely marvelous to behold.
I was starting to do it, and I had a moment of just like, man, should I be doing this?
Yes.
And then I thought, yeah, that's silly. I'm doing it.
Yes, you should be doing this. This is absolutely the right thing to do. Yeah, so I don't know. There are different ways of converting power into resource. Like, you know, one way that I'm thinking about implementing in a major way is there's like an ice chiller you can use to create ice by using electricity as an input, and it gives you ice as an output, and an ice is worth 1 EMC, and then you can filter that back in. So maybe a massive bank of ice chillers in order to make a crazy system. But that's super inefficient, and I bet there are more efficient ways than that, if that makes sense.
Because, yeah, one problem with the diamonds is it's very difficult to scale up. You effectively have to wreck the server to properly scale it up to be worthwhile.
The farms.
I like it how Factorio is just right now turned into, hey, Wholesome Craft.
It's great. It's really good fun. It's been amazing.
Whenever we do a season 2, I would like to try and organize some kind of equivalent where we're all on for like 1 day every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I really liked that first session where we all hanging out and bantering.
Yeah.
And losing that has definitely been, I'm not going to say a little bit of a letdown, but it was something I really enjoyed.
Dude,
and we haven't really gotten that back.
I'm with you. When I did the Wholesome Boys Build a Brewery series with Raps, Rito, and Alexa, I mean, that was like, in my mind, like the high point of like, you know, creating content, because it was like, it's great fun. You know, it's great fun. You just have a little bit of banter, and you're able to sort of progress the world and the lore and all of that stuff, which is kind of great. But yeah, it's certainly the more the merrier.
I think it's just harder this year because Rito is effectively a digital hobo living out of his dad's office. Rhapsody YouTube has decided to dunk on him in the hardest possible way,
Yeah.
and Alexa became a corporate stooge.
Yeah. He
So
sold out. He sold out.
yeah,
Yeah.
can't
We don't.
blame him.
No. Yeah, you can. You absolutely can blame him. I don't like him anymore. Just joking. I'm just joking. But yeah, no, it's a shame. He's a busy boy now. Unfortunately. There we go. There we go. Yeah, but the good news about Minecraft and about modding and whatnot is that I believe like next year there's going to be a fairly big uptick in modding or something because there's some big update being released.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know though, to be honest.
I will look forward to it, but I will also just gladly just wait long periods of time. Normally I'm so like overwhelmed by games that it's like, oh man, maybe a new Minecraft playthrough would be kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, here's like every game forever. Go play them instead. Are you with a network on YouTube or nah?
No, I'm not. I mean, I think I was with a network like in the early days, just because I thought it was something that
Well, yeah, because you
everyone had
kind
to
of
do.
needed to be.
But you see, even then, it's like I don't even think I did it out of a sense of having to do it. I think I just did it because I thought it was what people did.
Yeah.
You know, more than anything.
Yeah.
Not really.
No,
I'm not with a network.
That's entirely fair.
What about you? Are you with a network?
I am in a network, and I'm still not entirely sure if it's immediately that useful. Having that safety net is nice, because I take Raps' situation. I've had a couple of things like that in the past, and having a network was at least somewhat easy, especially back before I had a partner manager that I could just be like, help. And so having somebody that I can be like, hey, shit's broken, please help.
Yeah.
And actually having like a human on the other end to be like, yeah, let's actually help you with this. I'm also really curious if the issue that's hitting Raps could hit me if I was with a network. Probably. They'd probably drop me like a sack of potatoes if I was risky.
Yeah, Raps is it's crazy. It's happening elsewhere as well. Like I know there's a couple of other communities that I follow, and it seems to be happening pretty much everywhere, to be honest, from what I've noticed. And that sucks pretty hard.
Yep.
It's really, really bad, and I think it's going to end up impacting everyone, to be honest.
I at least feel like they're maybe going to fix this situation eventually. It just sounds like YouTube is just dumb and doesn't want to admit that they have like this critical bug because they really do not want Adpocalypse Round 2 where every single creator under the sun is screaming.
I agree, actually. I think they will fix it. I think they will fix it. It's just not great that it has to take people losing their income in order to get them to fix it.
Effectively their livelihood, yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's it. And that sucks. That sucks pretty hard. That sucks pretty hard. Okay. Oh boy. All right. So what are you working on? Talk me through your grand strategy.
I just let's see. Give me a second. Passive provider chest. I just made a an alchemy setup for speed module 3s.
Okay.
So we can now request speed module 3s and productivity module 3s, and I'm slowly expanding the speed at which this setup runs. Seeing as we were just very proactive about the amount of power that we are producing, I figured I'd get this. I figured I'd utilize some of it. I've already upticked our power usage by about 200, which is a lot.
Quite a lot, yeah. I mean,
let's see.
Honestly, the more you can increase our power usage by, the better, because the more the more power you use, the greater my sense of self-worth grows. It makes me feel like what I'm doing is actually worthwhile. So, keep going. There we go. There we go. Oh, yeah, okay. This is very, very cool. Very, very cool. Here's something fun that I did this week. So,
Okay.
I finished a playthrough of the Outer Worlds.
Hey, that is a fantastic game.
It's a really good game.
I've never finished it. I'd like to, but I always get like halfway through any of those games, and I think I get kind of, I'm not going to say slow. I think just the sameness of it, the length lasts longer than the novelty, and that drives me a bit nuts. Anyway,
Yeah.
you continue.
No, I was exactly the same. Is that I started doing it, and I realized when I finished, it's like the first half was really good because I was sort of getting into the whole world, and then at around about the halfway point, I found myself like looking on wiki pages to find out how to get the outcome that I wanted for like certain character interactions. And then I finished the game, and then I realized that the last 25% of the game, I can't even remember because it was just me doing things in order to make sure that I didn't miss a certain encounter or I didn't miss like a story in the world. And it kind of like soured the whole experience because I just don't think that I'm built to like those types of games because I just don't want to miss anything, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's just there's so much. So much.
Yeah, the time and the effort and the... I mean, the interest, it's hard to keep up with the game for that long and, like, maintain that level of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really, really is.
I think I still liked it. It was a good... I wouldn't say it was a good idea. It was a decent execution of the Fallout style. I think what killed it for me was just that because it was so organized in, like, you go to the new planet, here's a couple of new quests, here's some things to kind of continue what you were doing, here's maybe a couple new guns, but mostly the recolors of the guns. I think that's what was getting to me, that there was this giant world to explore, and so much of it was just kind of empty. It's like, hey, you found a new treasure chest. It has the same gun that you already have and are currently using. It's like, oh.
The guns were pretty garbage, to be honest. Actually, the variation was after the second planet you go to, basically the same.
Yeah, and that killed it a little bit for me because it's just like, where's the loot?
Yeah.
I wanna get some sweet loot, and they had like the special guns. We'd always get them super late, and so it's like, here's a crazy special gun with cool powers. Yeah, but it does like
nothing.
50% of the damage.
It does nothing. It does absolutely diddly squat. It's like I kept them on my person for posterity, and it just weighed me down. Like,
yep.
It just weighed me down. Like the other crazy thing that I thought was that like I was gallivanting across the galaxy, trying to build friendships, make sure that everyone liked each other on every planet that I went to. But no matter where I went, I looted those people relentlessly. Like, there was nothing left on those planets after I'd been over them. Like,
Yeah.
chests of friends, chests of enemies, yoink. That's all mine. And nobody cared, which I found kind of crazy. Nobody realized that this... I mean, I ended the game with, like, 100,000 in currency. I basically spent nothing, like, over the entirety of the game.
You don't need to.
I don't need to. So, yeah, it was a good game. It was a good game, but, like, yeah. I don't think I'm built for those games.
I'm just hoping with with backing from Microsoft, they can actually have more of a, I'm not going to say a presence, but they can actually build it as big as I think they wanted to build it.
Mm-hmm. I think it was pretty big.
Well, it was big. It was empty. Like,
yeah,
there was size, but it didn't have the oomph to it. I have the same problem with, like, Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah.
Where I really want to get into them, but you just load it up, you maybe get past the couple of intro quests, everything is bright and shiny, and then you look at, like, the laundry list of things that you might have to do,
Yeah.
and there's just kind of that crisis of faith moment where you look at it and you're like, hold up,
Yeah.
how?
Yeah. I'm doing work for the sake of doing work. And yeah. I know that the whole point of the game is about, you know, the whole point of the game is about the evils of, well, the evils of capitalism and the evils of socialism and communism and whatnot, and that's all built in there to the game. But like everything was so samey, like, and I know that's the point. Everything was carbon cut out and whatnot, but like the environments were very, very samey, and
Yeah. I loved the idea of them, and like whenever you landed on a planet, it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of neat looking.
yeah,
And then the mystique would wear off, minutes later.
Yeah.
Because you've seen everything that it already has to show.
yeah. Yeah. I found myself like leveling up and then just like hoarding the leveling points until I needed them for something specific.
Yep.
And I know that there's no right way to play a game or a wrong way to play a game, but like it felt like it was the wrong thing to be doing.
Have you played Disco Elysium?
So everyone keeps talking about how Rhapsody did a fantastic playthrough, and was like a really sort of seminal series on his channel. I watched like a bit of it because I know that in that game there are like quests and storylines that if you exhaust all of the chat options, then you will be negatively impacted, which I thought was quite unique. But I haven't. But I've heard amazing things about it. Everyone says it's amazing.
I had a ton of fun with that one because it really did kind of make you not consider like what options you were picking, but it didn't just feel like I need level 100 lockpicking to get into this. Like every problem had 1,000 solutions, and that your character truly was just kind of this different creature, playthrough to playthrough. So like, I'm sure what Rhapsody did was completely different from mine.
Yeah.
I built my entire guy around the concept of there's a perk that you can get that makes it so whenever you think about something, being like, hey, what is like the invasion of so and so, and your character like has a thought, being like, oh, it was this and this, and you actually will straight up just like make money every time you have that thought. No idea where the money comes from, but I just loved the idea of that, and so I focused on that as hard as I could, so I just become weirdly wealthy. Because you could buy a stoplight in one of the stores, and I really wanted to buy that stoplight. I never got the ability to do so. I was quite sad, but I know there are other people that had like other strategies that they had pursued over the course of it, and their experience, the characters and everything that they interacted with was just so different.
Yeah, because I know that game won like loads of awards. It was a pretty well-reviewed game.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll.
It would be worth it eventually if you've got time. It's not a short game, but it's not a particularly long one. I think I beat it in 20 to 30 hours, which like that's still pretty long, but
yeah,
compared to some games, that's not so bad.
I think the Outer Worlds I did in like 30 hours or just shy of 30 hours, like round about that time anyway. So that would make sense. Yeah. I don't know though. Narrative games.
So many of them have so much potential and could be so good, and so many of them are just kind of humdrum.
Yeah. Have you played Fallout New Vegas?
I've played a fair bit of it. The problem is the game has aged like
Horribly. Yeah.
milk.
Yeah.
And so it's like I honestly, now that Microsoft owns Bethesda and Obsidian, I would love to see them just go through Fallout New Vegas and just reskin it with Outer Worlds level of like visual quality,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that would solve so many problems along the way. Let's see. Where did my inserter arms go? I guess I used them all. Just because I believe New Vegas was using the same assets as Oblivion, and like Oblivion is one of the ugliest games I have ever beheld.
Okay. I've never played it. I'm aware of it,
It's
but
well, I mean, just take all the weird lumpy horror creatures characters from New Vegas, but put that in a fantasy setting. So
uh-huh.
like the environments are pretty, but every one of these just horrible Play-Doh nightmares. And just like I can't talk to a person in that game because they just look wrong. Uh, that it is so far on the bad side of Uncanny Valley that it is disconcerting to play.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
and so like I love New Vegas. I love the different things that you can potentially do, and like the highlight of whenever I play it is Caesar's camp. You know, you get there early, you're supposed to talk to him, and I always kill Caesar right away as like some level 3 goon, and it's hard, but you can do it. Like there's enough landmines and other tricks that you can absolutely do to just like ruin the guy.
Yeah.
And from my
Yeah.
perspective, that's real fun.
Yeah. Oh. Oh yes, I almost forgot. How are we doing in our fight against the environment?
Fight. Well, I just murdered a lot of things. It's not as bad as it was, but
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to grab some artillery. Speaking of, do we have bigger artillery? We kinda do.
Kinda.
Artillery turret 2 requires military 3. Let's go down this rabbit hole first, because I'd like to get the bigger, better artillery turrets. Because I want to say their automatic range is just that much longer. Oh yeah, massively longer.
Okay. What do we... I mean, do we foresee a massive increase in our power in the future?
Uh,
I'm just curious, because...
probably not. Probably not. Not unless I start using productivity modules hard.
Because I'm kind of like... I kind of want to test our system a little bit, you know? Like, I think that we can...
Okay.
I think we can take it, to be honest with you.
Okay. I can start doing that, because the next trick would be productivity modules on our science setup, maybe? Or just productivity modules everywhere, because that
Okay.
massively upticks the speed and gets us... Or not the speed, it massively upticks the power and gets us more stuff for less.
Mm-hmm.
I'm considering it on science just because I'm starting to bankrupt it, but I think what we really need is just faster belts and better arms.
Definitely.
Because they're not transferring enough, which is actually really fun to watch.
Definitely.
But I think I'm just gonna have to
Definitely faster belts,
make
for sure.
more arms.
Just to
Yeah.
throw that in
Where
there.
are we on that process? Because, oh,